Light sport aircraft became a thing in 2004 when the FAA established rules for their design. Fundamentally, they are max 2 seats, max gross weight of 1,320 pounds, maximum cruise speed of 120 knots, and a stall speed of 45 knots or less. Additionally, no retractables or constant speed props. Well, this has worked well, but now under pressure from pilots and aircraft manufacturers, the FAA is considering a modernization of special airworthiness certificates, or MOSAIC as it's known. Can the existing rules be relaxed or expanded some and still maintain the level of safety we enjoy today? So, if I got a call from the FAA that made me the boss, here's what I would do. First, understanding that the light sport aircraft exists to meet the needs of sport pilots, let's agree on what sport pilots need. I fly as a sport pilot, so use me as the example. I fly for the enjoyment of flight. I want to share that experience with someone else whenever I can. I want safety to be a primary consideration. And I only want to fly in the daytime and in good weather. I may take an occasional trip or two, but when I do, I'm not in a particular hurry. Really, I can live with the existing sport pilot privileges and limitations. Daytime VFR under 10,000 MSL, maximum of 1 passenger, a max of 120 knots, and limited to G and E airspace without a logbook endorsement. I really don't see a need to change the training requirements or the certification requirements of the Sport Pilot Certificate. So then, what about the aircraft specifications? When I first decided to operate as a sport pilot, it became clear immediately that I would have to buy my own airplane because there were no light sport aircraft available to rent. As a private or commercial pilot, that was never an issue. No matter where I was, a quick checkout enabled me to rent any one of many types of airplanes. But there were just no light sport aircraft around that I could rent. If we have a goal to expand access to flying for the sport pilot, then here's an area we can focus on. So what's the easiest and quickest way to do this? Well, my answer may surprise or even disappoint many, but here it is. I would leave the definition of a light sport aircraft pretty much the way it is, with just a nudge here and there. My special airworthiness certificate rule would be max of 2 seats, a max cruise of 120 knots, a max weight of 2,000 pounds, and a max horsepower of 115. I'm ambivalent about the retract and constant speed prop limitation because the airframe specifications above would rule these out anyway, I think. Now beyond that, I would expand the definition of an aircraft that a sport pilot could fly. Just like a sport pilot can fly into Class B, C, and D airspace after training and a logbook endorsement, then under my rules, certain aircraft could be flown after additional training and a logbook endorsement. Why not allow a sport pilot to fly a Cessna 152 or a Piper Tomahawk? Other than the existing 1,320-pound gross weight restriction, these planes would otherwise qualify as a light sport aircraft anyway. But why not go further and allow access to a Skyhawk or a Warrior class aircraft? The flight envelope of these planes is not far removed from that of my van's RV-12. In my future world, a sport pilot could show up at an FBO or a flight school, take an hour of dual training, and, if acceptable to the CFI, get a logbook endorsement to enable him or her to legally operate the plane within the limitations of a sport pilot. That is, only daytime VFR and only 1 passenger allowed. But I'm not the boss. So what is likely to happen? Well, I suspect the weight limit will be raised above 1,320 pounds. I'm not sure how or why that number was reached in the first place, but I do think that a safer plane can result if more structural members can be employed during building. The gauge of aluminum on my RV-12 is just a shade thicker than tinfoil, and I'd feel better if it was more substantial. Once the FAA is ready, they will publish an NPRM, or a Notice of Proposed Rulemaking. Only then will we know the direction this will take. After that, it may be a year before whatever they decide will actually become law. In the meantime, only a handful of planes similar to the RV-12 will be available for sport pilots to fly. What do you think will come out of this MOSAIC thing? Leave a comment below and share your opinion. And I will see you in the next video.